I absolutely am, Miss Fuller. Can you hear me? Thank you very much, and thank you so much for all that you do hosting the call. And ladies and gentlemen, if you only knew all the things that Miss Fuller does, like so many of you others out there, the unsung heroes who do so many things behind the scenes, and you see her in front of the scenes also at all the major events, being an absolute servant leader. Thank you so much for all that you do, and I'm so proud of your personal development and as your business and as you continue to develop. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to be the lead presenter on this morning's call. And hold on to your hats because it's going to be one of those calls because I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. Yes, I got a text this morning from my fearless leader, Mr. Silas Diamond King, who was changing planes, getting on planes, doing something, heading back to Cali. And he did ask me to speak about something specific. So since I do continue to consider myself teachable and coachable, I'll cover very briefly the two topics that Mr. King wanted me to talk about, and that is to use your gold standard magazine and really read it. It was interesting when I was at the last event. I think it was Mr. Akiola who was on the stage, and he asked a very simple question, which actually, you know how sometimes if someone says something very innocent, and once again, it's like they reached over and just grabbed you by the throat. He asked you if we had the Gold Standard magazine, and I think maybe 80-90% of the room raised their hands and said, yes, we got the magazine, yes, proud. And then he asked, have you read it from cover to cover? And that's when most of the hands went down. And it was just interesting because, I was one of those people who had to take my hand down because I'm honest when somebody asked me a question and I had not read the magazine from cover to cover. And I will be completely transparent with you now, ladies and gentlemen. I still haven't read it from cover to cover. Now, I know the people in there. I know the particular stories. That's another thing that Mr. King wants to talk about, which is knowing the stories of the individuals. But I still have not read it from cover. Oh, yeah, I've read the initial article of Mr. Bugs talking about the four corners of success. I've read what Mr. Chua says about Ganoderma and our mission, but I still haven't read it from cover to cover. And once again, when I do these training calls, when I do any type of training or coaching, I always, I believe, take away more than the audience, than you out there, and that's why I love to do what I do. But at the end of the day, as I walk over here to the corner and look into the mirror with my headphones on and doing this call, I have to realize that something is still missing. So the one thing I want to talk about, just for the record, I talked about having the tools, whether it's the Gold Standard magazine, whether it's the DVD, whether it's all the websites that we have available, up to and including your back office. Coffee all over the world. Actually, it's OG Coffee Pays. All these different sites that are out there. Have you actually looked at them? The Holton Bugs pre-recorded call. Many of us are not utilizing that. We have the vice president of sales with a pre-recorded call that loops 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and if nothing more, we should be listening to that over and over and over again. For those of us who don't feel that we have an absolute world-class presentation where we can give everything you need to know about this business, 25 minutes tight, if you don't have that confidence, you should be listening to the absolute master, the person who's doing it better than anybody else, over and over and over and over again. So part of the message today are the tools that we already have available to us. They're out there. You probably already have them in your hands. So as we know, one of the vital signs of the organization are how many tools are actually flowing through your organization. There should be a caveat or an asterisk next to that, and it's how many of those tools are being used consistently throughout your organization. How many of those tools are being used consistently throughout your organization? Hopefully, if you've been in this business for about a minute now, you have your copy of Cash Cow. When was the last time you listened to it? Disc 1 through Disc 4. Because every time you listen to it, you're going to learn something new. Every time you listen to it, you're going to remember or develop a skill that's necessary for you to be successful. So these tools are out there for a reason, and that is to help you build a multi-million-dollar business. So one main takeaway is have the tools, distribute the tools, but use the tools. and use them properly. Use them to tell the stories that are out there. So that's one thing I was asked to speak about. Second thing I was asked to speak about was selling coffee. And I can't remember exactly which day I was speaking on this call. And we talked about selling coffee. And I just cut to the chase and said that those of us, and once again I put myself absolutely at the top of this list, those of us who are not selling coffee on a daily basis, selling at least one box of coffee a day, those of us who are not doing that, spending no more than 10, 15 minutes, and it shouldn't take that long, making a few calls, using one of the proven sales scripts, and selling one box of coffee. If you did nothing more than that, you would be able to put into your pocket $450 of profit. $30 times 30 days is $900. That's $450 of profit, and that just happens to be the amount that a case of coffee costs. So, ladies and gentlemen, action is really what I want to talk about this morning. And Mr. King talked about it. My days are just getting all mixed up. I think today is Tuesday, which means yesterday Mr. King talked about taking massive action. You know how you want to talk about something or teach about something or remember something specific, and you have to go back through your notes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've been doing this thing for a while, meaning Organo Gold. I joined on November 15th, 2009, the same day that Mr. King joined, the same day that Alan Rena Fuller joined, the same day that some of the people who are still part of this team, from the very beginning of our part of this journey, November 15th, 2009. And when I look at all of the people who have been part of this journey since that time and what they've done compared to me, it's a very humbling realization that there's still something missing with me that's not getting it done. And Mr. Bugs challenges us not to compare ourselves to other people because it's very easy. You can have, and I can't remember her last name for the life of me, one of our most recent diamonds, Maria, the young lady who was in Houston and moved to Chicago and got diamond done, if I'm not mistaken, about 6 months, recruiting no more than 26, 28 people, proving once again what's possible. When you think about Mr. Jose Ordon, who back in the day, I remember when Mr. Bugs came out to California, and this was a relatively small room in Oakland, California, and he put us on a conference call with this guy who we couldn't understand half of what he was saying, but there was a passion in his voice about what he was getting ready to do. I think he had just joined the business. And his name was Jose Ordon, and he was talking about what his vision was, what his plan was, and that's to put 50,000 people on his individual team. And while we laughed because his accent was kind of funny and we couldn't understand what he was saying, there was a passion in his voice and a belief that every single person in that room realized that this man was going to get it done. I was going through my notes last night, and I was looking at and seeing that Mr. Ordon, Mr. Bug said his second month in the business, his check was like $48, I think is what Mr. Bug said. $48, second month into the business, which means there are people on this phone right now that are making more money than Mr. Ordon was doing a couple of months into the business. And something happened, but he was planting the seeds. He was putting the activity in, and there's not a doubt that his activity was always congruent with his stated goals. So that's what I really want to talk about this morning, and I'm going to keep it relatively short because I'm just speaking off the top of my head and speaking from my heart, and that is I love this opportunity because, as some of you realize, and I've said it before, I'm not talking to you on these calls. I'm really not. I'm just having a conversation with myself. I'm just having a conversation with myself and saying, Stephen, what's missing? What do you need to do? And I know the answer is continue to focus on myself more than I focus on my business, because every single person on the phone, including myself, every single person on this phone, even if today is your first day in the business, and we have some people, I think Sonny might be out there on the phone from Northern California, just signed up yesterday at the Silver Pack. Welcome. There are some people on this phone who are signing up, who just signed up, or maybe who haven't even signed up yet, and they're hopping on this call because they're invited. and you're hearing some of these things for the first time, even you already know everything you need to know in order to be successful in this business. You already know. You already know enough people. You already have enough skills. You already have a big enough why to get this thing done now. I think the real challenge is finding what is holding us back and getting rid of that, and then just moving forward and getting done. As Mr. King said yesterday, taking massive action. It has to be productive action, though. It has to be productive action. About a half hour ago, I was looking through my notebook after notebook after notebook of notes, because I take my notes even when I have my camera in the aisles and I'm running all over the place. I always have my notes. I'm always on one knee, taking my notes. So I got notes here, I got notes there, I got notes everywhere about how to invite and how to edify and how to sell coffee and how to do three-way calls and how to do this and how to do that. One of these days I'm going to actually do something. Now, I've done a few things out there in the world, and I've done some things in Organic Gold, but I am nowhere near, as my brother, Mr. Edwin Haynes, would say, I have nowhere near scratched the scratch of my potential. And I'm doing a lot of soul searching these days, ladies and gentlemen, because as I've explained to others, and maybe I need to stop making this self-description, as long as I use the proper tense, maybe I'll be okay today, is I've always been the guy who's been behind the guy or the gal. I've been the guy who's been behind the team, so my role through my entire career has always been to help others be successful. That's why I know once I figure this thing out, I'm going to get it done, because you give me a team, oh, I'm ready. I can coach, I can mentor, I can train, I can inspire, I can do all that stuff. I can work harder than anybody. But my typical role was not to be the guy who actually did it. I was the guy who taught it. That's why it's so comfortable for me to do these calls. But make no mistake, somebody called me a natural born speaker the other day, and on one level I take that as a compliment, but also I just had to twinge just a little bit, because if they only knew how much work I put in to developing this one skill, communication, that I believe was so important to achieve all of my goals. Because you may not believe this, but this is the God's honest truth. I was the kid in the back of the room who never raised his hand, who was afraid to talk. I was the guy who was shy, afraid of his own shadow. And that continued through college. It was a speech communication class I took. I think it was my freshman year. And the first week of class, they challenged us to go around the room. The first thing we had to do was memorize everybody's name, and then we just had to talk about ourselves. And by the end of that class, that course, I couldn't stop talking. That didn't mean I had any skills, because there's definitely a difference between confidence and competence. And that's why, about 7 years ago, when I got laid off for the last time and decided to build my consulting business, I decided that I was going to focus on one skill to be the best that I could be, and that was communication. And that's when I joined an organization called Toastmasters. That's when I dove in with both hands, all in, and I practiced. I practiced more than anybody else, And once again, I'm remembering the value of me speaking to myself on these calls. This organization called Toastmasters, the average member gives no more than 10 what we call manual speeches in an entire year. That's just the average activity of an average Toastmaster member. For those of you who don't know what Toastmasters is, organization's been around for a very long time, like 90-something years, over 100 countries, and all we do is focus on communication and skills development. And we give manual speeches. We practice things like how to get to the point, how to use visual aids, how to just do all the things and remove, even I said a couple times, how to remove all the ahs and ums out of your conversation. It focuses on the craft, on the skill of communication. And the average Toastmaster only gives less than 10 speeches a year. Now, once I just got the drug of personal development, the first time that I'd really focused on this one particular skill, having a burning desire to become the best of the best at teaching and speaking in front of small and large groups, it just took a life on its own, and I started speaking almost every single day. And I literally gave 80 speeches, manual speeches, in 2 years, which means I squeezed in about 8, 9 years worth of activity into 2 years. Now, I don't say that to impress you. I say that to impress upon you that all I did was I made a decision, and all of a sudden, and we got something on the back line. I'm going to make sure we're nice and clear. Um, I made a decision to focus on a specific skill, and I just did it over and over and over again, got coaching, implemented what I learned, and did it over and over and over again. And now I'm the speaker that I am today. Now I'm the leader that I am today. And ladies and gentlemen, my challenge for you is pick that skill. And if it's one skill, my challenge once again is for it to be inviting. We have some people, I think, on this phone right now, Mr. Manuel Garcia, who just actually officially, he's not even in the business yet, but he has put me on more three-way calls. He has scheduled more events this week than anybody on my team because he has a burning desire to get this thing done. And he is what seems to be a master inviter. And I told him, I said, Manny, if he doesn't like Manuel, if this is the skill that you're going to develop, you're going to be a diamond. Maybe even before I am, if I don't get my act together, because inviting is a skill. So the moral of today's story is make a decision and get something done. Focus on the skill that you need. And if you need to continue to look in your heart and soul, look at your life and figure out what's slowing you down, because I know for a fact that we have more than enough time to get this thing done. This is really a part-time job. And some of us, I'm not saying some of you, some of us are spending full-time time for a part-time activity. Because when you look back at the last 24, 48 hours, and you ask yourself that big question, which is, did I keep the main thing the main thing? How many times did I actually show the plan? How many times did I actually take at least one person through the entire PS3, piquing their interest, showing the plan, putting them on the three-way call? If the answer is not 1, 2, 3, up to 5, then I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. Yesterday actually was a very productive day. Had a sit down at 9:30 in the morning, actually for somebody else's team, but that's okay. And then I had another conference call, I had another meeting, I had a three-way call, I had a training call, put somebody in business on the silver pack, did a training in the evening time. And on the surface, it felt good, but when I looked at my actual productivity for what the main thing was, for my own personal team, maybe I'd put one person through the PS3. And I had put 10 long hours into my business. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we need to figure out what we're actually doing. And I've said it before when we talk about taking massive action. Taking massive action does not mean spending a lot of time, because it doesn't take a long time to invite 30 people to a coffee and jazz mixer. It just doesn't. It doesn't take a lot of time to at least ask 15 people to support you by buying 1 or 2 boxes of coffee. It just doesn't take that long. That's the reason why our scripts are so short. Hey, John, guess what? I'm in the coffee business. Hey, I sell a gourmet coffee, tea, and hot chocolate. Will you do me a favor? Will you support me by buying 1 or 2 boxes? How long did that take? Hey, Mary, this is Steven. How's it going? Haven't spoken to you for a while. Hey, I got a very important business-related question to ask you. You got a quick minute? Hey, do you keep your business options open outside of what you're doing right now? Of course you do. Hey, when do you have 20, 25 minutes to hear something I believe you could truly value, you could benefit from? Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute, what should I say? It's a crime that I can do what I just did as well as I just did it, and I'm not a ruby, emerald, diamond by now. It's a crime, but that's okay because I'm still working on me. I got my newest personal development, something called the power of the subconscious mind, because I know that's where my battle is. Now, some of you have the desire, and that's why you got to always be careful to make sure that you are doing your proper self diagnosis on what's going on. Because some of you have more desire than I've ever had in my life. I won't say than I'll ever have because I'm still working on that. But some of you out there have more desire than I have ever had, but you don't have the skills. And that's where you need to focus on. You need to focus on the skills, the art of inviting, maybe the art of presenting, the art of getting your mind right and getting your goals set and doing your affirmations and all the basics of the business. That's where some of you need to put your work on. Some of you are closer to me where you got some skills. I got some brothers and sisters all over this country, whether they're in Texas or in New York, or whether they're in Virginia, North Carolina, North, South Carolina. You got more skills than anybody on this phone, maybe anybody in this country, but something's still holding us back. We need to figure that out, put it behind us, and get this thing done, because too many people are going to get it done before us. So I know I hate to I try to say I'm all over the place, but I'm speaking top of mind, but hopefully I'm speaking to somebody on this phone. And somebody is going to get inspired to figure it out. And I'll be completely honest and completely selfish. I'm hoping more than hope that that person is me. Because every single person on this phone already has what it takes. And there's just one minor piece missing. Maybe it's figuring out that one skill, inviting or selling, that you need to focus on. Maybe it's taking that massive action that you're actually doing, but spreading it over an entire day, and you need to make it focused. Put it on your calendar, map out that you're going to spend this 30 minutes actually working something out, and get that thing done. I have to say this. I know there are well over 100 people on this call, and what happens is I get on a roll. And I start getting all these dozens of texts all over the country, and it throws me off because I have to read the text, because it might be one of the leaders giving me some instruction of what I'm doing or not doing. So I appreciate your words of encouragement. Do me a huge favor and save the text till after the call. I appreciate it. Now I lost my train of thought. Where was I? Yes, sir. You're on the call, sir. Yeah, actually, that's perfect timing, because I'm actually thrown off the horse, and I did cover the things that you asked me to cover, sir, as far as utilizing the tools. Um, well, thank you very much, sir, and you are who you are because you do what you do, and I appreciate you so much. I was speaking on the phone. You put me on a three-way. Yes, our leader puts his people on three-ways because he does what he practices what he preaches. And I was telling that young man who's going to be in the business someday soon, if he didn't sign up last night, that Mr. King has been an important person in my life, and that's an understatement, because he says what I need to hear, and he says it at the right time, and he's always there. And these type of calls, ladies and gentlemen, they're a double-edged sword for a lot of reasons. One is because a lot of times you don't hear these stories until until that person has already gotten through their particular battle. And sometimes the people don't make it through to hear what somebody actually went through. You don't know that this person was going through foreclosure, this person was going through this person was going through that, until after it happens. And sometimes there are people in the hunt, in the game, that they give up because they don't believe, don't realize that they're not going through this alone. Every single person on this phone has a story, and I know it's a powerful story. Whether it's your spiritual journey or your physical journey or your emotional journey or financial journey, every single person is going through something right now, and very few, if anybody, actually knows what that is except for you. So sometimes, it's good to get out there and talk to yourself, but I do this, as I said, as much for you as I do for myself. But I want you to understand that even someone like me has thoughts like this, but I'm not giving up. There's no quitting me. I love looking through all my notes, and every once in a while I'll find one of my gold cards because I don't throw all of them away. If there's one that had my Sapphire, and I keep them as I stumble upon my Sapphire gold cards, and yes, I don't have Sapphire gold cards anymore. I have Ruby gold cards. But I'll see one and it'll say, Stephen V. Risson, am Sapphire, September 2010. And then I'd find one a few months later that says, I, Stephen Risson, am Sapphire, June 2010. And it just reminds me that I didn't give up, that I still went every single event. I attended every single call. I continued to work on myself more than I work on my business. And here I am. So there's no quitting me. So don't mistake what I'm sharing with you. I want you to appreciate that even those people on the stage are going through something. Even those people on stage maybe have their moments of doubt, but they get back to the basics. They rely on their confidants and on their accountability partners, and they do what they're supposed to do to get this thing done. So, ladies and gentlemen, I, Stephen V. Risson, have a huge organization that generates over $50,000 of volume every single month. I, Stephen V. Risson, am a Sapphire producing machine. The PS3 is happening through my organization every day. The 4 steps are being duplicated throughout my organization every day. I, Stephen V. Risson, peak interest, show the plan, do my 3-way calls every day. Ruby is done. I, Stephen V. Risson, attract major network marketers every month. I, Stephen V. Risson, become what I think about most of the time. I, Stephen V. Risson, talk like a diamond, walk like a diamond, think like a diamond, believe like a diamond, plan like a diamond, perform like a diamond because I am a diamond. I am so proud of every single one of you on this phone. I appreciate all of your support, all of your hard work. I look forward to seeing every single one of you in Dallas at the next Project 50,000 because that's the place to be. When you make that decision, somehow, some way, you're going to be there. We may have 10, 15, 20 people in the room. We're going to get there. We may be getting in our cars or hopping the bus right now, but we're going to get there. Every single one of you on this phone, somehow, some way, is going to be there. Every single one on this phone is going to absolutely get it did. So thank you for all of your support, Mr. King. Man, I love you. Can't wait to see you in a few days up here in California. We're setting the fires because I know you brought the gasoline. I don't know how you're going to get on the plane, but you got it. So you have yes, sir. Okay. Man, why you gotta do that to me, man? Why you gotta do that to me? Um, this is just an amazing, amazing journey, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm sitting here in this room downstairs. Got my cat meowing outside the door. I got sleep calling me. Just not. There's this song, this Destiny song. Say my name, say my name. That bed saying sleep. I want to sleep. Just let me sleep. But I know I got to get out there and get this thing done. And I want everybody to just imagine, just for a minute. I want you to flash forward to that moment that it happens. That moment where you click refresh on your monthly qualifications, and in that upper right hand corner it says Diamond Consultant. It says Diamond Consultant. You click on the refresh button. Who knows, it may be 11:59. I don't know the date, I don't know the year, but you click on it and it says what you've always known it was going to say. It says Diamond Consultant. And you realize that everything you went through was worth it. All the sacrifice, all the hard work, all the tears, all of it was worth it because you got it done. And you didn't just get it done for yourself, you got it done for your family, for your friends, for your community, for generations upon generations. And you helped a whole bunch of people, because that's the only way we're successful, is to help a whole bunch of people. You got to feel that feeling. How is it going to feel when you walk across that stage and you look out into the audience and you see your family, you see your immediate family, you see your OG family, and you're walking across that stage, and all of a sudden it just gets into slow motion because you're just taking step after step. And you see Holton with that big grin on his face. And you see Shane smiling ear to ear. and you see Mr. Chua just waiting, holding, getting ready to shake your hand because you did it. You did it, Rose. You did it, Eileen. You did it, Brenda. You did it, Tony. You did it, Justin. You did it, Faith. You did it, Desiree. You did it. I'm so proud of you. You did it. I'm so proud of you, Mr. King. I'm so proud of you. You got it done, man. You got it done again. You got it done again. That feeling that you have that you got it done. You got to capture those emotions and you got to bottle it and you got to look at it and you got to experience it every single day because that's why you go through what you go through because you got it done. I'm so proud of you. Can't wait to take your picture on the stage. Can't wait to give you that hug. Can't wait to spend that quiet time where you can just sleep as long as you want to sleep. And you can just get that massage and you can just drive that car and you can just give the tiding that you want to give. I'm so proud of you because everything you're going through now, it was worth it. Just go out there and get it done. Have fun along the way. Help as many people as you can and just go and I'll see you later. So everybody, this has been just a regular edition of Sapphire University. We'll see you on the coffee break call in about 50 minutes. Don't only hop on, share your story. Go out there, do the main thing, PS3. You know what you need to do. Have fun, everybody. Take care. Yeah.